Hello and welcome to a light reading recap live from Mobile World Congress Los Angeles. Actually the press room in Mobile World Congress Los Angeles, because clearly the show is more exciting than what you see behind me. But let's set that aside for a minute. I'm Phil Harvey, I'm the editor of Light Reading, and to my right is Kelsey Zeiser. Hello, Kelsey.
Hello, Phil.
And to my left is Jeff Baumgartner. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, hello.
And to his left is Mike Dano. Hello, Mike.
That's me, hi.
And if you were listening to this on audio, none of that had anything to do with you. I have some questions, some big questions that are left over from Mobile World Congress Los Angeles, and I hope you guys have answers. The first one from Neville Ray's keynote. Does having a ton of midband spectrum, is that the same as closing the digital divide? He has he made reference a couple of times to all that they're going to do for rural America and reaching homes and providing internet access to people and closing the digital divide. And the only thing that seemed to be in the plan is that they just have tons and tons of midband spectrum. They're going to spread out everywhere and reach lots of people. But is that enough?
I mean, is it though? Probably. Yeah, I'm sure the T-Mobile people would argue that it is.
Yeah,
because
it's a good start.
Yeah, the T-Mobile story is all about midband spectrum for 5G, and so if you're T-Mobile and you have a bunch of if you have a bunch of nails, everything is a hammer.
Right.
Their hammer is midband spectrum, and they can solve all of the world's problems with the appropriate application of midband spectrum. So, I mean, but really is that I think that there is an argument to be made there because the digital divide, using fixed wireless and wireless technologies to cross the digital divide, I think makes a lot of sense to me because you don't have to lay all that fiber. That's really expensive.
You do have to have a hybrid approach to whatever problem you're trying to solve as far as internet access.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought I thought it was an interesting point. The other question, big question I have, this kind of comes from the keynote, but also a lot of what I've heard in the sessions and on the show floor. Does OpenRAN have to work for everyone to be considered a success?
I mean, probably. I don't know. I actually think there's a lot going on in OpenRAN right now. Like I think I was just talking to one of the executives who's involved in that, and like everyone's moving around in all those companies. All the OpenRAN companies right now are hiring people. They're losing people. People are moving over to different jobs. Like OpenRAN right now it's sort of a free for all. It's like it's whatever goes, and I think that sector will shake out eventually, but. Right now, it is a bit of a free for all about who's going to get acquired, who's going to stay at this company versus not stay at this company. Like I think that there's a lot going on right now. Yeah, it felt like watching about I kind of come at it from a different angle. I'm not as involved in 5G and mobile as some of you guys, but yeah, they were kind of talking about the ecosystem and kind of how it has broadened out, pretty well. And then it's like, okay, who's going to adopt it and what's going to happen? I mean, it seems like there's going to be an inevitable consolidation. It's like, is there enough to go around to keep everybody healthy and happy? I don't know.
And Jeff and Mike, you guys had some thoughts on Docsis and how there were some things that, maybe the telcos and 5G OpenRAN folks can learn from the Docsis journey.
Yeah, I mean, that came up today when I was at Steve Libby with Parallel Wireless. Yeah, he was trying to draw some correlations between Cable's approach with Docsis years ago, where you talked about specifications and interoperability, not getting locked into proprietary systems, and kind of look how Docsis is a couple decades in. It's become this multi-billion-dollar industry, for the cable operators, and I would say that Docsis did very well. Worked out very well for the cable operators. On the supplier side, yeah, we did see a lot. We did see like an explosion initially, and then the industry eventually came down to the companies that could scale and could kind of live with, secure the volumes you need, but at the same time, The margins did shrink quite a
Right.
bit. So that's kind of it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's both good and bad, but always good for the operator. It always seems like where it
could
goes.
work, just how much money do you want to make off of it for the
Right.
vendor side, I suppose.
And which vendors are going to survive? Like, that's my big question. I'm very curious to see which ones survive and which ones get subsumed.
Yeah.
It's a timing thing too, because as soon as you standardize it, then it becomes a commodity. As soon as it commoditizes, then the price drops. And then, several companies that had value add suddenly don't have that anymore.
Yeah, they're talking about
Yeah.
40% reduction in capex. Well, that 40% is coming from the vendors, right?
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that just means they're selling stuff for less.
The operators aren't like, let's give up some margin. Why not? I have another question. Is Rakuten trying to build networks or pick fights? They seem to be coming up with reference designs of equipment that, to go into the 5G network and OpenRAN networks. They seem to be wanting carriers to hire them to do network as a service and to, help them build their networks. And it seems like if you're one of these equipment makers that are just trying to get on in the world with your happy, shiny box, that might irritate you a little bit.
I mean, from my standpoint, I think that Rakuten is, there's a few interesting stories going on right now in 5G, and Rakuten is one of them. I mean, this is like, it's amazing. They built their own network, and now they are using the technology they developed doing that to sell to all these other carriers. And so I'm not sure what is going to happen to them and how they're being received. It certainly seems like they have some traction. They've got this deal with the whatever it is, the one in Germany. It's
1&1.
1&1.
Yeah.
They have this, like, that's a big deal,
Yeah.
a multi-million-dollar deal.
It's very big, yeah.
And that's, they're literally just getting started. And
And
so
that'll make them the fourth, it's the fourth largest national network in Germany. And the fact that it'll be a complete cloud-native network, with all new infrastructure, is really compelling.
I feel like, Tariq Amin is the main guy over at Rakuten. He was here at this show, and I feel like that was his, like, victory lap, basically, is what
Yeah.
he was doing during his keynote. Is like, look, I said all this stuff a couple years ago, and we did it. Like, we did it all plus some.
Yeah, it was definitely the most compelling part of the morning session. That's all I'm going to say.
Zing.
A quick question about 5G. Is there a 5G killer app or use case that I've missed? Because I still don't see one that's super compelling. and interesting.
I think you had one, didn't you? You got to interview your favorite person here at the show. Isn't that
I
the?
did. Yeah, I was a little fangirling yesterday. I got to meet Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, and he was. Yeah, he's super dynamic in person. As well as on TV, it carries over. I was just like, I'll train my dog, whatever you say. But he's working with an IoT company called Core on a connected dog collar called Halo. So you can basically set up a perimeter for your dog wherever you are instead of using, say, an electric fence. And then it also has some other features, like it could do some voice commands for training, and it does he's known for doing that noise to like redirect a dog's behavior, so it also makes that noise.
The collar does?
Yep.
Really? It's got like a little speaker and
Yep. So you can
lay out
talk to
commands.
your dog with
So is-
Caesar's voice, yeah.
Is that the 5G killer app? I mean, for somebody it might be.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's as good as anything else.
I mean, I was pretty excited about it. So.
Well, it is 5G's going to the dogs. All right. This was quoted in one of the sessions. The Boston Consulting Group found that 5G will be central to our nation's economic recovery. They project that 4.5 million new 5G jobs and over $1 trillion in economic growth will be created. My question: how many of those jobs will be guys picking up and recharging those scooters?
50%.
Yes. The answer is 1,000. Yes.
And I did see them in action yesterday. I mean, this big giant truck pulled up and they came out, threw some scooters out there, and then they were gone. And they were everywhere out here.
Scooter guys are
in
hard
Los
work.
Angeles. Yeah.
It's a city of scooters.
In LA. Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, seriously, I am interested in where those jobs are going to be created, because the industry itself is downsizing, shrinking, getting more and more efficient, and by way of becoming efficient. It's you're cutting out, you're using automation at every point in the network, and every time you automate a process, you get rid of a person. And so I feel like there's a weird disconnect between the projections around 5G economic growth, or 5G driven economic growth, and the actual
industry.
The actual industry that produces it. I don't know that they're I'm not saying they're not necessarily creating jobs by supplying more bandwidth. I do think that's certainly an economic catalyst. I'm just saying, isn't it weird that the very industry that creates this stuff is going in the opposite direction?
Yeah, I feel like I've asked that question to a number of service providers about automation. Will it replace the network architects and engineers? And they keep saying, well, it will open them up to do things that they really want to do. I'm like, does it really though? Or is it
like an early retirement?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So they don't have to do all these manual processes, but
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right. How can millimeter wave be dead if I just saw it working at the Pivotal Comware cocktail party? That could be rhetorical.
Can we?
I'll just leave it alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Question.
Why aren't all trade shows using the Clear app for vaccine proof of vaccination status? I thought that was incredibly efficient.
It was until I couldn't actually put my vaccination information into the app. You had to have, you had to create, I had to have like the physical form and turn it into a digital form, but I only had a digital form through my Colorado app, and I could not take that and put it into the Clear app. I didn't know this until I was here. I should have done this before I left, but.
Gotcha.
So you need a physical copy and then make it digital, but you can't use a digital copy without the.
Yeah, I couldn't just load up my digital copy and put it into the Clear app. Maybe they'll do that
Maybe
later.
They need to integrate at some point.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah,
APIs.
we're at the early innings of whatever they're trying to do, but I think the process here was actually pretty smooth to get in.
I didn't wait in a single line. I just breezed right through each time. It was surprisingly quick, and like I said, really, really efficient. I'm surprised more venues, trade shows, large gatherings aren't taking advantage of that. It seems like a great idea. Let's see, anything I missed? What else did you guys see at the show, or what else do you want to comment on before we wrap up?
I think late in the show here, I was not talking to, but I did go see what Brendan Carr had to say, FCC's Brendan Carr, and he brought up 6G. And he said, right? Yeah. No, hey, I know.
Just wait.
Listen. No, you'll like this. I think you'll actually like this because
we'll see. I don't know.
He said, I think you'll like it because I think he said that, it's okay for us to be talking about 6G and theorizing, but the focus needs to be, the discussion still needs to be on 5G because a lot of work still needs to be done. There's still a lot of
marriage counseling or something.
Yeah. It's like, but you're right though. I said 6G and automatically his eyes rolled back in his head, and I think the same things happened at the FCC. They're like, we're not ready for that yet. But he said there's a lot of storm clouds looming on the horizon, is what he said, with a lot of spectrum, because there's a lot of agencies and other groups that are like clamoring for it, and there's like a turf issue now, and the FCC's like, well, we're doing it for the public, the public good, but these guys may not agree with that. So it sounds like there's going to be this ongoing battle. So.
So at next year's Mobile World Congress, it'll be all about 6G. It'll be the 6G.
And Mike will be ready and
I
rested.
won't.
No.
I refuse.
You have a year to get to brace for it.
Nope.
Get ready.
Nope.
I
need more than that.
Yeah.
He's not going to be rested.
I don't want to.
He doesn't want to talk about 6G.
No.
I think we can leave it there. All right. For Kelsey Zeiser, Jeff Baumgartner, and Mike Dano, this is Phil Harvey saying goodbye. Goodbye.